Welcome back. This is The Guys Next Door, brought to you by Picture Rocks Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing. I'm your host, Ron Arenas, with my co-host, Pastor John McLean.
Brilliant. That was, you're going to make me cry, Ron. You're going to make me cry. That was so smooth.
I don't know, man. You told me that you didn't like my intro music for the first time.
Oh, yeah? I just said it was boring.
Oh.
Because with the other two shows that are part of this beautiful masterpiece that is the Common Good Media Group, we have specially made songs.
Right.
So I definitely think The Guys Next Door is deserving of its own, like the guys next door. I mean, I know I'm a horrible singer, so I don't want to even try it, but you get what I'm saying.
We'll figure out something.
You have it in you.
Yeah.
I know you do. You have a lot of creative bones in your body, at least like 4 or 5.
Well, at least 4 or 5. Yeah.
So let's use those to make a Guys Next Door song. So that's something for the audience to listen out for.
Ah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Teasers.
Yeah.
Teasers. That's what they call them in the biz. They call that's what they call this, the biz.
The biz.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, as always, we have a great show for you guys today. And our first guest is Carlos Chavez from Carlos Chavez Photography. How are you doing, Carlos?
I'm doing great. Thank you guys for having me on today.
Yeah,
I
welcome.
appreciate it.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Definitely a brilliant photographer. I mean, thankfully, Tucson is I think one of the hidden gems for amazing photographers. Just people that have a great eye. Granted, I think probably the environment is helpful with that.
Yeah, I would say so. With just all the scenery, with our mountains and our different ecosystems.
Yeah, but I would definitely, I'd say with Carlos Chavez, I've seen he has, with like so many photographers that are kind of in our world, but he has a special eye, and like with his work, you can tell it's his work. So, and I say that to you here sitting in front of me. Sorry to speak of you in second person, but I love your style and what you bring to the art that is photography, which kind of like drawing or painting or writing, everybody does it in their lifetime, but to really become a savant at it, it's really cool to know you folk, and I'm happy to be in your sphere, brother.
Yeah, I don't know if I would say savant, but it's nice. And the goal is always to be able to be recognized from your work.
Yeah.
And so being able to do that and have people out there with my photos and other people being able to recognize that, it's huge.
Right.
It's great for branding, marketing, and people just really get what they want. It's something that customers come in and clients come in and they know what they're going to get when they leave. It's a high quality product, and that's what they're coming in for.
Awesome. So how long have you been a photographer?
So I've only been doing it really about 8 years. I've had the business, started out as a hobby just before that.
Right.
And then it really led into a business. And so it just progressed naturally. And I was doing work for fun. And then I started doing some stuff for the nonprofits that I worked for. And that eventually led into me working with board members and other community members because I was really involved in the community at that time. And it just led into a business. And now I've been doing it full time for 4 years. My wife is in the studio with me now as well. She's a former principal and a kindergarten teacher.
That's
and
awesome.
she does maternity and family photos. I stick to the corporate and commercial stuff. And so we both kind of hit those two niches and are doing great.
That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, and just that combination, both me and Ron work with our spouses. So I'm sure there's probably bringing those skills together, there's probably a lot more in store. I wouldn't be surprised you guys have a lot of cool plans just based off of blending those skill sets, particularly her being in education. I'm sure there's a lot you both have to teach the world.
We definitely do have some plans. It's just making the time to get those done. We want to start getting some YouTube videos out, some educational stuff, just things in the community, kind of like what you guys do, highlighting people in the community and what they do and how they make an impact. That's something that's big for both my wife and I. Okay. And so being able to do that is going to be huge, and it's going to be fun. I just like talking to people and hearing people's stories.
Yeah, that's cool.
And speaking about video, you have some other services that you do video for. Can you tell us about those?
Definitely, yeah. I do a lot of video. It's for my corporate and commercial clients mainly. And so that can be anything from branding videos. Right now, YouTube content, social media content is huge, but I do PSAs, commercials, website videos, really anything a company needs to showcase their brand, their employees, and to get customers coming in.
Oh,
Okay.
that's cool.
And I wrote down when we were talking before, training videos. Do you still do the training videos?
I do, yeah. And so a lot of companies, they use those all the time. And so they come in, we either shoot it at their location, they can come into the studio and do it. We have a really nice studio on Broadway and Tucson Boulevard, right
Mhm.
kind of central in town for a lot of companies, and they can come in and do it there. Full video production, so we do everything from lighting, sound, post-production, everything through it. And I say we, and it's really me. And so
Yeah. Oh yeah.
if I say we, it sounds bigger, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, it sounds super
You,
fancy.
you and your team.
Super fancy. Well, the thing that I love about your just the work that you do, and one of the many pieces is your headshots. Like your headshots are awesome. Like I already have a big enough head and confidence, but I'm afraid once I have you do one of my headshots, you're really going to make me feel like a superstar, because just the fineness to kind of, again, that eye that you find something within people. But to that note, how often should I be updating my headshot? Because I feel like I'm not doing myself service in this area.
I would say at least every 2 to 3 years.
Oh, wow.
And you hit on something really great in what I do is I take the time to get to know people when they're in my studio. It's not a rushed process, and we really just get to chat, talk. I have a bunch of bad jokes that I throw out
You're
there
gonna fit in here really
Ooh,
well.
Yeah.
to get those authentic expressions, because really the worst thing as a photographer that you can do is have somebody come in.
Yeah.
They're already nervous. I would say 99.9% of the people that come in, the first thing that they say to me is, I hate myself in photos. And so it's my job to get them to relax a little bit, get that authentic expression to where somebody that's looking at that photo is going to say, oh, yeah, that really is that person, and I want to work with that person.
Right.
I just saw a quote the other day, and it was talking about the 1 second wow. And so you really need to be able to do that when you're putting that first impression out there.
Right.
And that's can be on LinkedIn, your website, anything. People are working with people that they want to be around and think that they're going to have a good connection with. And they get that through that headshot. It's not really all of those first impressions where you're meeting in person now. They're just looking at you online, and you
That's
have
true.
a second or two to be able to grab that attention and get them in.
Yeah.
And that's something that I just love to do.
They're sitting there online judging you.
They are. Yeah.
It's funny. We work with a lot of realtors, and it's funny that a lot of times they'll give you their card, or you'll pick their card up somewhere, and their photo's like 30 years old.
Or they want an Instagram filter.
So it's like, oh, who are you? Oh, I'm this person. I'm this realtor. It's like, in your head, you're like, well, that's not what the
And
card
when you're
looks like.
when you're looking back at it later, you're
Yeah.
like, who was this
Yeah,
again?
yeah.
We have
this was 30-year-old realtor, and I'm meeting 55-year-old realtor.
Well, and honestly, that's one of the worst things you can do as a business owner, and realtors and everybody. You are a business owner.
Yeah.
And so if somebody thinks that they are meeting a certain person, and then you show up and you're not that person,
Yeah.
it automatically loses trust with
It's
that
kind of
client
weird,
and
yeah.
customer.
Yeah.
And so being able to have that updated headshot, like we said, 2 to 3 years, I wouldn't go more than that, because you change hairstyles. I know me in the last few years, I've gained a lot of weight, so I got to drop that. But
No,
things
that's good
change.
weight. It's happy weight. It's happy weight.
It is. We had a kid.
It's
and
married
so-
weight.
Yeah. And speaking of speaking of happy weight, this is the 9/11 week. The week of 9/11.
Right.
And and speaking of that, you're involved with the Portraits for Patriots.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about the Portraits for Patriots and your involvement with that.
So it's a really amazing organization. Me, myself, I don't have any experience in serving our country as a service member, military member, but I was approached probably three and a half years ago by Portraits for Patriots, just through mutual contacts, and they
Nice.
needed a photographer here in Tucson. And so what we do is we provide free headshots for service members transitioning out of the military into the
Nice.
civilian workforce.
Very
That's
nice.
cool.
And their spouses and significant others can come in at any time as well, because we know that that is a hard transition for them too, because they're moving around with that service member and they need to restart jobs and do those things, so they can come in as well. And so they get to come to my studio, get that regular experience that everybody else does. It's completely free, and it's just really a volunteer opportunity.
Man, that's
no one
awesome.
gets paid to do it. We're just doing it to help out.
Right.
And here with Davis Monthan, we get a ton of clients
Oh yeah.
coming in for that. But I also get people from Sierra Vista and other areas
Oh,
around Arizona because I'm the only one in Southern Arizona that gets to do it.
all right. And so, how do people reach you?
They can give me a call on my cell phone, 520-668-7202, or you can always check out my website. It is cchavezphoto.com. It's pretty easy, just my first initial last name, photo.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on. I love the work that you do and look forward to seeing what you guys do in the future.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Appreciate it, brother.
We'd like to thank our sponsors, Crest Insurance, Piper Family Painting, Tucson Tamale, Steamy Concepts, Tucson Pack and Ship, and Picture Rocks Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing.
Absolutely. And also check out more at veteranrescuemission.org if you want to find out more about the Guys Next Door radio show, many of our other shows. Also, we invite you to join us at the Arizona Sands Club every Wednesday. We do a networking event where you can meet myself, you can meet Ron, you can meet some of the members around the Common Good Media Group team, Martin, that you always hear us talking about behind the scenes. You actually get to meet him. He'll probably take a picture and a video with you. So
Yeah, he's always the one taking all the pictures.
yeah, absolutely. He's the guy. He's the guy. He's the beloved one. He doesn't realize it, but I tell him regularly. But go to veteranrescuemission.org to check out all the stuff that we do and plug in. And also, oh yeah, we help homeless veterans. So go there and find out about that and how you can help.
And we are back. I'm Ron Arenas, and this is Pastor John. We are the Guys Next Door. Brought to you by Picture Rocks Cooling, Heating, and Plumbing.
I'm not happy.
I did that on purpose.
I know you did. I know you did. I know you way too well to think that you didn't. You messed it up accidentally.
So our next guest on the show is Sal Cabibo with Midwest Regional Bank. Welcome, Sal.
Thanks, Ron. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great to have you over here.
And I want to thank you, Ron, for you saying his name, because you know I butcher names really badly.
You do.
And I would have messed it up. So I apologize, even though I didn't even butcher it, for the fact that I may have butchered your name, Sal.
Well, it's
Sorry
kind of
about that.
funny because in the family we argue whether it's Cabibo or Cabibbo.
Okay, yeah.
So we kind of
Yeah, I
the
get
house
always-
divided.
I've always heard it as Cabibo. So.
It is,
Yeah.
yeah, because that's what I use because
Yeah.
I used to answer the phone if you say Cabibbo.
Uh-huh.
What is it? So,
Yeah.
so
Ah,
Cabibbo
I
is
got
more
it.
phonetically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With us in our family, it's Muck Lane or Mick Lane.
Right.
So,
Hmm.
yeah. You decide.
I wouldn't think it would be Muck.
I know it doesn't make sense to me either. But
No.
my grandma, she'll take that to the grave with her.
Huh.
But my grandma actually passed.
So it's like a
I
regional
don't think
thing.
that's a good joke.
But moving on. So Sal, you specialize in commercial lending.
That's correct, yes.
Yeah.
So I've been a career banker. I go back to, I don't know how many recessions I've been through. I mean, late 70s when I began. So,
oh wow. Okay.
yeah. So
OG banker.
yeah.
Yeah. Way
So,
back in the day.
I've done a lot of different things. Retail banking for a long, long time. Managed a lot of people. District manager, branch manager, all that. So,
Man.
and then I moved to, when I moved out here is actually when I got involved in commercial banking. So
Okay.
as a relationship manager, and it's been a fun ride.
Yeah.
I've been here, as I said, 2006, 18 years, and it's great helping businesses. And since. In the last 4 years, I've been doing strictly SBA loans. So helping
interesting.
small business, do a lot of hand holding,
Nice.
and
Yeah.
give them the proper guidance to get what they need.
Right,
So
right.
helping people fulfill their dreams.
Cool.
How has it been for you, the transition and the difference between the banking you did before versus commercial banking?
Yeah. So retail banking, the evolution of banking. You go to sleep at night and you wake up the next morning and it changes. I mean, I worked for a bank in New Jersey, and there were 3 different banks on the same United Jersey. You couldn't go into those branches. Within a
Oh.
period of about 10 years,
Mhm.
that bank became, it would be today, I guess it would be Bank of America. So, I guess it was around 2000 or so when you could do interstate banking. So,
Yeah.
Mhm.
So the evolution has been incredible. So retail banking was, I was a branch manager, so I did a lot of what I do today is helping small business. And I used to even have credit authority. You come into a branch, and you didn't have all the regulations back then, and even as late as the mid '90s, where you could do a signature loan. I mean, so then the regulations came in a lot because of abuse in that. The old handshake loan. So,
Yeah.
so that was where I learned a lot of business development also. So
Nice.
banks really are sales oriented.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's gone from the credit people are essential, but the value is in sales.
Mm-hmm.
So and then there are a lot of bankers who are not comfortable with it. To me, that's where my passion is. So go out, find the people, find the deals, get them what they need. And that's the way I've operated. So
Nice.
Right. So earlier you mentioned an SBA loan. Can you tell us what an SBA loan is?
yeah, the SBA loan is somewhat of a niche, and particularly we do the SBA 7A loan, but I'll be more general in that. Typically, you go into banking, you need a loan as a business, and on the conventional side, which is without the SBA loan, is a little more challenging in terms of getting approved. The benefit for an SBA loan is it's guaranteed by the government, so it's 75% guaranteed. So that makes the bank feel a lot more comfortable with the risk. So our risk on a deal is 25% of what we lend. The $1 million loan, our risk is $250,000. Right? So,
okay.
so that's the benefit to the bank, but for the borrower, it's tremendous because you can put less money down, longer terms, flexibility. So it's a great product for small business. And I work with people who are startups, people who are buying a business for the first time, and it's as I said, do a lot of hand holding, and it's really fulfilling.
Yeah. How long has the SBA program been around?
I think it was. I didn't know you were going to ask that question, but it does. I thought the 70s, but it may even predate that. I think it does go prior to the 70s. But
wow.
Yeah,
I didn't know. I thought it was a fairly new thing.
No, not at all. So it's certainly an enhancement, and many would not qualify for a conventional loan, and the SBA is a great option for them. So
let's just say a business is like looking to finance a property. Like what are the first steps in doing that?
Well, it's to find the property, I guess. It's kind of
Ron knows that too well.
Yeah, here in Tucson, we have challenges with industrial buildings, as Ron knows.
Yeah.
Specifically. So, finding a property, and then determining, no matter what bank you go to, they're cash flow lenders. So you have to show that you have the ability to repay the loan from your operations. So you want to try to figure that out. And you could do that quickly, or, a banker like myself, over a napkin, right? So you can pre-qualify, you take your profitability and you have to figure out the debt service, and that's how you come up with it. But, I always like to, particularly somebody who is new to buying either a business or a commercial building, I like to use a lot of resources. So I was just having that conversation outside the door. For somebody who's just trying to figure it out, there's SCORE, which is a bunch of volunteers who are former bankers or business people. As a matter of fact, I'm doing an event in a couple of weeks with SCORE.
Okay.
And we're going to review business plans for people who coach them through that process. Then the next area is the Small Business Development Center. So here it's at Pima Community College. So they have a couple of bankers combined, like myself, almost 100 years of banking experience. So they're a great resource, and they don't lend and they don't do business plans. What they do is help those borrowers become bankable. So hey, like I said, they won't write the business plan, but they'll give them guidance. What should be in that? What do you need for a package? And if they're not ready to go, to guide them along the way and what they need to do to get there. So that's kind of an easy way to start. But the other thing I always like to, and part of being a huge network here in Tucson, the connections I have in terms of business professionals, but I think it's important to have, an attorney, insurance person, an accountant, all those people that, part of the team. So, it's you can provide that guidance. There's a lot of trustworthy people that I can recommend. So that's important. But basically, on a commercial real estate deal, you would need to put 10% down. So if it's $1 million loan, $100,000, it can go as low as 5% if there's a gift. Say a family member says, "I'll write you a check for the $100,000 or $50,000, and sign a notarized letter that you don't have to pay me back." Another way is if there's an owner carryback. So the person selling the building is willing to take 5% off, and they would get paid down the road So
Mm.
so that also helps from a cash flow perspective on the borrower side, and it helps the seller who's maybe looking to unload the property quickly.
Mhm.
So that's another benefit. So yeah, roughly 90% down, and on a real estate loan, we'll do 25 years. So typically on a commercial bank without an SBA, you're looking at a 5-year, maybe 10 or 15-year amortization. So if you're doing a 25-year, that lowers your payments. And
Right.
particularly
Mhm.
somebody who's starting out in the business, and maybe 3 years down the road, they're going to be doing a lot better.
Mhm.
And the other benefit to SBA on a real estate loan is after 3 years, there's no prepayment penalty.
Mhm.
So you could refinance at that time and lock in at a lower rate. So those are some of the real benefits of the SBA loan.
Right.
You're speaking before not only purchasing a building, but also purchasing a business.
Oh yeah, we'll even look at startups. So
Mhm.
those are a little more challenging. We will do them, but typically look for either management experience in a related business,
Mhm.
or and the other thing is collateral. So
Right.
so you want experience in a business, if or related business, or maybe a partner who's willing to guarantee with that.
Mm.
But collateral is always up front. So typically SBA, if it's a startup, will ask for a lien on a house. So that's how we get
Man,
startups done.
there's so many factors to determine. It's almost as if, and I'll ask this as a question rather than as a comment. Do you think it'd be wise for most businesses to sit down with you just to kind of get an assessment of where they're at and what their options are?
Absolutely. Yeah, I do a lot of communication with somebody who, so we get some leads, it's from SBA, multiple banks,
Mm-hmm.
can opt in there, or I get a lead from, CPA or somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember in years past you've done a couple little like lunch and learns with the chambers.
Yeah.
Mm.
So that's a way of promoting it. It's word of mouth. It's and it is working with those individuals to communicate. So
Right.
and
Awesome.
it's probably the most fulfilling job I've had in my career, quite
Mhm.
honestly,
Yeah.
the last 4 years. And
Yeah.
in terms of, it's I've had PhDs that were going to buy a business and they needed some hand holding. So just because someone is has the education, they may not be versed in business. So
Right. So how do people get a hold of you?
okay, so via email, it's scabibbo@mwregionalbank.com, or they can call me at area code 973-270-5977. That's a New Jersey exchange, but I work here out of my home at Sabino Canyon.
Awesome.
So
well, thank
yeah.
you so much, Joel. That's Joel Cabibbo.
That's Sal Cabibo.
That's Sal, not Joel. Sal with Midwest Regional Bank. Definitely check them out. This is the guys next door. We'll catch you next week.